It was supposed to be a simple weekend hike in Yosemite National Park, but 17-year-old Evan Carlisle never came home. For a year, search teams found nothing. No footprints, no clothing, no trace, until a pair of tourists stumbled upon something wedged deep inside the crack of a giant boulder. When investigators opened it, they uncovered a secret that changed the case forever. Evan Carlisle wasn't your typical teenager. While his classmates spent weekends at the mall or gaming, he was scaling rock faces and navigating wilderness trails. The Modesto High School junior had been hiking since age 12, when his father first took him camping in the Sierra Nevada. By 17, he was president of the school's outdoor adventure club, had logged over 200 miles across California's toughest terrain, and his bedroom walls were covered with trail maps, summit photos, and wilderness safety certificates. So when he announced a solo overnight hike to Glacier Point, his parents weren't worried. He'd done dozens of similar trips, always returning with stunning photographs and wildlife stories. Evan arrived in Yosemite on July 14, 2023, entering through the Big Oak Flat entrance at 8:47 a.m. His plan was to hike the 4-mile trail to Glacier Point, camp at a designated backcountry site, and return by Sunday morning. His pack was meticulously prepared: tent, 3 days freeze-dried meals, water purification tablets, first aid kit, fire starter, headlamp, backup batteries, a Garmin GPS tracker, and his phone in a rugged waterproof case. With perfect weather, clear skies, mid-70s, no rain, and excellent trail conditions, he set out. The last confirmed sighting came at 2:30 p.m. from the Morrison family of Ohio, near a massive granite boulder known as the Split Giant, cleaved in half by a vertical crack. They recalled him in good spirits, taking photos of the boulder and chatting about photography. Their daughter Emma remembered him explaining the merit badges on his backpack, calling him really nice and not scared at all. By evening, Evan's phone went dark. His GPS last pinged at 6:42 p.m., about half a mile past the Split Giant, near the 4-mile trail's junction with the Panorama Trail. When Evan failed to check in by Sunday afternoon as planned, his parents initially weren't alarmed. Cell service in the backcountry was notoriously unreliable, and Evan had been late returning from previous trips due to weather delays or taking alternate routes to explore new areas. But by Sunday evening, when there was still no word, David and Sarah Carlisle drove to Yosemite themselves. They went straight to the Valley Visitor Center, where they filed a missing person report with Ranger Station 4. Within hours, the Park Service had mobilized its search and rescue unit. By Monday morning, a full-scale operation was underway. The initial search focused on the 4-mile trail. Chief Ranger Michael Torres led 15 SAR personnel and 2 dogs, Rex, a German Shepherd, and Bella, a Golden Retriever. The dogs tracked Evan's scent from the trailhead without issue until they reached the Split Giant. There, both became agitated, circling the boulder and whining. Rex pawed at the crack for nearly 20 minutes before they were coaxed onward, but beyond it, the scent vanished completely. SAR leader Janet Walsh, with 15 years' experience, was baffled. "Dogs don't just lose a trail like that," she said. "These animals have found avalanche victims. For them to lose it so completely, it was unsettling." By Wednesday, search teams from Fresno, Mariposa, and Sacramento joined, totaling 40 ground crew, 3 helicopters, and cliff rescue specialists. California Highway Patrol flew grid patterns with thermal imaging. No sign of Evan or his gear. The search expanded to the Mist Trail, Nevada Fall, and Half Dome, with teams rappelling cliffs and exploring hidden caves. Water sources were checked repeatedly. Local news spread Evan's smiling photo statewide. His parents held daily press conferences. His mother, Sarah Carlisle, wept. Evan promised he'd call by noon on Sunday. He never breaks promises. Something happened to him out there. While ground teams scoured the wilderness, investigators turned to technology. Evan's phone records showed that his last attempt to make a call was at 6:39 p.m. on Saturday, just 3 minutes before his GPS tracker went silent. The call had connected for exactly 11 seconds to his girlfriend Mia Rodriguez's phone, but no voice data was recorded. Cell tower analysis suggested the call was dropped due to poor signal strength rather than the phone being damaged or turned off. Mia told investigators that she had been at work at a local restaurant and hadn't heard her phone ring. When she saw the missed call later that evening, she tried calling back repeatedly but reached voicemail every time. "The last text I got from him was around 4:30, she said. It was a photo of some flowers he'd found on the trail. He wrote, 'Wish you were here,' with a heart emoji. That was so typical of Evan, always sharing beautiful things he found." By week 2, investigators considered new scenarios. Evan may have wandered beyond the search zone or fallen into one of Yosemite's many unmapped crevices. Detective Sarah Chan of the Mariposa County Sheriff's Department began probing possible foul play, interviewing dozens of hikers from that weekend. One, Robert Martinez, a photographer from San Jose, recalled seeing a strange guy in dark clothing near the Panorama Trail. Tall, thin, wearing all black despite the heat, and carrying an unusually large backpack. "What struck me," Martinez said, "was that he wasn't taking pictures or enjoying the view. He seemed to be hunting for something, or someone." The sighting was too distant for a composite sketch, but it became the first potential lead in the case. Meanwhile, digital forensics experts were analyzing Evan's cellular data, trying to piece together his exact movements on the day he disappeared. His phone's accelerometer data showed normal walking patterns until approximately 6:35 p.m., when the readings became erratic, short bursts of rapid movement followed by complete stillness. Dr. Amanda Foster, a forensic data analyst, explained to the family, "These patterns could indicate several things. Maybe he was scrambling over rocks or navigating difficult terrain. Or it could suggest he was running either toward something or away from something." The most puzzling element was the timing. Evan's GPS tracker and phone both went offline within minutes of each other, but not simultaneously. The GPS signal stopped first, followed by cellular activity 3 minutes later. "In my experience," Dr. Foster said, "this sequence suggests the devices were turned off deliberately rather than destroyed by impact or water damage. If he'd fallen down a cliff or into a river, both devices would have stopped working at the same time." By August, Evan's disappearance had gone national. CNN, NBC, and Investigation Discovery all covered the case. The wholesome teen, the mysterious vanishing, and the stunning Yosemite backdrop gripped the public. Online forums exploded with theories, from a serial killer targeting solo hikers to government cover-ups and paranormal events. The Find Evan Carlisle Facebook page grew to 50,000 followers, and psychics contacted the family daily. While grateful for the support, the Carlisles faced mounting stress and false hope. Veteran tracker Tom Morales volunteered his skills, spending 3 days searching with techniques from Native American guides and military experts. He found faint signs, a broken branch, a scuff mark, but like the dogs, lost all trace near the split giant. "I've tracked fugitives in deserts, mountain men in snow, and lost children in forests," he told reporters. "But I've never seen a trail just end. It's like the earth swallowed him up." As winter approached, the active search was suspended. Rangers stayed alert during patrols, and visitors were urged to report anything unusual. David Carlisle retired early to run private search efforts, while Sarah launched a blog sharing theories and appeals. They hired Marcus Webb, a former FBI agent specializing in missing persons. Webb reviewed the evidence and interviewed overlooked witnesses. His verdict: "There's no proof Evan died here. No body, No belongings, no signs of attack. But there's also no proof he left alive. It's the most complete disappearance I've ever seen. When the weather improved in spring 2024, the Carlyles returned to Yosemite every weekend, hiking different sections of the park and talking to anyone who would listen. They plastered trailheads with updated flyers showing Evan's photo and offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to his recovery. Local rangers, who had initially been optimistic about finding Evan, privately began to doubt they ever would. Ranger Torres confided to colleagues that he suspected Evan's body lay somewhere in the vast wilderness, perhaps in a crevice too deep or remote for searchers to locate. The case officially remained active, but new missing person reports and other emergencies demanded the Rangers' attention. Evan Carlyle was becoming another unsolved mystery in Yosemite's long history of unexplained disappearances. On July 14, 2024, exactly 1 year after Evan's disappearance, his family held a memorial service at the Valley Chapel. Hundreds of people attended, including classmates, teachers, search volunteers, and park employees who had worked on the case. Evan's younger sister Madison, now 15, spoke about her brother's love for the outdoors and his dream of becoming a park ranger himself. "He always said the mountains called to him," she said through tears. "I just wish they'd call him back home." The service was covered by local media, generating renewed interest in the case. America's Most Wanted featured Evan's story in their July episode, leading to dozens of new tips, most of them false leads or mistaken identities. But the publicity served another purpose. It reminded thousands of Yosemite visitors to keep their eyes open for anything unusual. On August 2, 2024, Daniel and Clara Jensen were enjoying their first visit to Yosemite. The retired couple from Duluth, Minnesota, were celebrating their 30th wedding anniversary with a cross-country RV trip. Clara had read about Evan's case online and insisted they visit the Split Giant during their hike along the 4-mile trail. "I just wanted to say a prayer for that poor boy and his family," she later explained. The couple spent about 20 minutes at the massive boulder, with Daniel taking photographs while Clara sat quietly in the shade. Daniel, a retired electrical engineer with a keen eye for detail, was fascinated by the geological formation. While adjusting his camera settings, he noticed something unusual. Deep inside the crack of the boulder, perhaps 8 feet down from the surface, there was a glint of something metallic or reflective. "At first I thought it might be mica or some mineral in the rock," Daniel told investigators. "But when I used my camera's zoom function to get a better look, I realized it was man-made." Daniel called to Clara, and together they used his LED flashlight to peer into the crevice. What they saw made Clara gasp. A bright red object wedged tightly between the granite walls, almost perfectly hidden from casual view. "We both knew immediately," Clara said. "We'd seen his picture so many times in the news. That red phone case was distinctive." The Jensens immediately contacted park rangers using the emergency number posted at the trailhead. Ranger Patricia Valdez arrived within 45 minutes, accompanied by Chief Ranger Torres and 2 members of the technical rescue team. Retrieving the phone required specialized equipment. The device was wedged approximately 7 feet down in the narrow crack, in a position that would have been impossible to reach without climbing gear. Technical rescue specialist Jake Morrison rappelled partway into the crevice using a harness and ropes. The phone was stuck so tightly that it took nearly an hour to work it free without damaging it further. "Whoever put this here knew what they were doing," Morrison observed. "It wasn't dropped or thrown in accidentally. Someone deliberately placed it in the deepest part of the crack where it would be almost impossible to spot." Amazingly, Evan's phone was still partially functional when recovered. The rugged waterproof case had protected it from moisture, debris, and temperature extremes during its year in the granite crack. The screen was cracked but readable, and the device powered on when connected to a charger at the ranger station. Digital forensics expert Dr. Amanda Foster was called in to examine the contents before the phone's fragile electronics could fail completely. Working carefully to preserve evidence, Dr. Foster accessed the phone's photo gallery and video files. What she found would transform the investigation from a missing person case into something far more sinister. Most of the photos on Evan's phone were exactly what investigators expected to find. Scenic shots of the 4-mile trail, close-ups of wildflowers, and selfies documenting his hike. The timestamp data confirmed Evan's movements throughout Saturday. Photos from the morning showed him at various points along the trail, all consistent with witness sightings. He'd captured images of Yosemite Valley, the Merced River, and several other hikers he'd encountered. Around 2 p.m., the photos showed the split giant from multiple angles, confirming the Morrison family's account of seeing him there. Evan had taken particular interest in the way afternoon sunlight illuminated the crack running through the boulder. But it was the final series of photos that caught Dr. Foster's attention. The last photos were taken at Evan's campsite, presumably somewhere near the Panorama Trail intersection. They showed his tent properly set up, his gear neatly organized, and a small campfire surrounded by rocks. Evan appeared relaxed and happy in several selfies, giving thumbs-up signs and smiling broadly. One image showed him cooking dinner, freeze-dried pasta with marinara sauce, using his portable camping stove. But photo timestamps revealed something troubling. The last still image was taken at 6:23 p.m., nearly 20 minutes after his GPS tracker went silent. While the photos told a story of a normal hiking day, it was the 3 video files that changed everything. The first video, recorded at 6:24 p.m., showed Evan sitting by his campfire, speaking directly to the camera in good spirits. "Day 1 of my Glacier Point adventure," he said, grinning. "Made it to camp right on schedule. Food's not too bad for freeze-dried. Gonna get some amazing sunrise shots tomorrow morning." The video lasted 47 seconds and seemed completely routine. A typical travel vlog entry that millions of young people record during their adventures. The second video was filmed hours later, at 11:43 p.m. according to the timestamp. This one was dramatically different in tone. Evan was inside his tent, speaking in hushed, urgent whispers to the camera. The video quality was poor due to darkness, but his fear was unmistakable. "I think someone's following me," he whispered, his eyes darting toward the tent entrance. "They've been behind me since the split giant. I keep hearing footsteps, but when I look, there's nobody there." He paused, listening intently to sounds outside the tent. "I saw a light moving around my campsite about an hour ago. Not a flashlight, more like a phone screen or something. When I called out hello, it went dark immediately." The video showed Evan's hands shaking as he held the phone. "I'm scared to leave the tent. Gonna try to wait until morning and then get out of here fast. If something happens to me, tell my parents I love them." The second video ended abruptly at 2 minutes, 18 seconds. The third and final video was the most disturbing. Recorded at 12:27 a.m., just 44 minutes after the second video, it lasted only 31 seconds. But those seconds contained evidence that transformed the case completely. The footage was extremely shaky, recorded in near-complete darkness. Evan was clearly moving quickly, the camera bouncing as he ran or stumbled through the darkness. Heavy breathing and the sound of branches snapping filled the audio. Then, suddenly, a beam of light, presumably from Evan's flashlight, swept across the split giant boulder. For just 2 to 3 seconds, clearly visible in the light beam, a shadowy figure stood motionless beside the massive rock. The figure appeared to be tall and thin, wearing dark clothing, and seemed to be watching Evan's frantic movement. Most chilling of all, The figure didn't react to being illuminated. It simply stood there, still and silent, like a statue. The video captured Evan's sharp intake of breath when he spotted the figure. "Oh God!" he whispered. The final seconds of the video recorded the sound of running footsteps, but not Evan's. The camera picked up the distinct sound of boots on granite, moving rapidly toward Evan's position. The very last sound was a metallic scraping noise, like metal dragging against stone, followed by sudden silence. The video ended with the screen going black. Dr. Foster enhanced the final video using specialized software, trying to extract every possible detail. The shadowy figure was too far away and the lighting too poor for facial identification, but certain characteristics were discernible. The figure appeared to be male, approximately 6 feet tall, with a lean build. He wore what looked like dark pants and a long-sleeved shirt or jacket. Most significantly, he carried what appeared to be a large backpack, consistent with Robert Martinez's description of the suspicious hiker he'd seen on Saturday afternoon. Audio analysis expert Professor James Liu from UC Berkeley examined the sound files. The metallic scraping noise, he determined, was likely caused by metal equipment, possibly camping gear or tools, being dragged across granite rock. The acoustic properties suggest the sound was made very close to the microphone, Professor Liu reported. Whatever caused that noise was within arm's reach of Evan when the recording ended. The phone's discovery raised more questions than answers. How did it end up wedged so deep in the split giant's crack? Why place it there instead of destroying or discarding it? Detective Maria Santos examined the boulder. To get the phone that deep would require ropes or climbing gear, she said. It's not something done quickly or quietly. Whoever did it spent significant time and effort. Some believed Evan hid it himself, but the final video showed him fleeing, not hiding. Others thought the shadowy figure placed it deliberately, a message or warning. In August 2024, authorities launched a second major search centered on the split giant and the route to Evan's campsite. FBI specialists brought cadaver dogs, ground-penetrating radar, drones with thermal cameras, and forensic anthropologists. The 2-week search spanned over 100 square miles, including unexplored crevices and suspected burial sites. Nothing was found. No clothing, gear, or remains. Investigators built a profile of the figure from the video and witness accounts. An experienced outdoorsman, skilled in moving through wilderness at night, with knowledge of the area and possibly Evan's route. FBI behavioral analyst Dr. Richard Hayes concluded, this wasn't random. The subject had time to observe Evan, plan the approach, and choose the split giant deliberately. That's premeditation and terrain familiarity. Placing the phone in the crack, he noted, required risk and effort, likely intended to be discovered. He's sending a message, maybe a trophy, maybe a threat, but it's not random. Over a year later, the case remains unsolved. The FBI has added it to their VICAP database. The shadowy figure has never been identified. No similar disappearances have occurred in Yosemite, but cold cases from other parks are under review. Evan's family, certain of foul play, have hired private investigators and forensic experts. The reward now stands at $100,000. Park officials have boosted patrols and warn against solo camping. Signs at the split giant urge visitors to report suspicious activity. Still, hikers report a lone figure near the boulder, motionless, watching from the trees. Some think it's the same person who stalked Evan. Others think it's Evan himself. All agree on one chilling detail. The figure never moves or responds, only stands among the granite and pines, waiting. The truth about what happened to Evan Carlisle remains buried in Yosemite's vast granite cathedral, waiting for someone brave or foolish enough to uncover it.